All right. Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? So we are in day 36 of reading the chronological Bible in a year. And so yesterday I had a live, and we read as far as day 35, the Passover and the rules for the Passover, which was very interesting to hear and see, and um, just I'm always amazed by reading the Exodus story, just how awesome God is, and just Him showing up and showing His hand and proving to the Israelites that, hey, I'm real, and I'm not just making a show to you, but I'm letting all the gods know that I'm the big G. So, day 36, celebrating the Passover annually will remind Israel that God always keeps promises made to previous generations. That no oppressor is bigger than God, and that God judges Israel's enemies. Who God is for Israel in the Passover, He would always be for them. Joseph's bones similarly testify to God's faithfulness. God's presence with His people is evidenced in a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day. The Egyptians quickly assemble their army and trap a panicked Israel in the Red Sea. Both groups have much to learn about God. God positions Himself between the Egyptians and His people. Then He parts the Red Sea for Israel's crossing and collapses the walls of water upon the Egyptian army, drowning them. Moses and Miriam composed theologically robust songs to remember God's triumph over Egypt. Israel quickly forgets God's wondrous care. However, when they come to the bitter waters of Moriah, future generations marvel at God's provision and Israel's shocking unbelief. Man, that is so true. And I was just talking about that this morning with some friends of mine about how the Lord provides, but yet how we forget His provision. And then we come into situations where we're wondering what's going to happen. And I'm like, have I stopped believing in God? Have I stopped serving Him? Has He stopped being faithful? And I said this to my friends. The level of dependence that God wants from us, I don't think we can actually comprehend. And I think it's one of those things that we're going to get to heaven and He's going to be like, you weren't dependent on me as much as you could have been. So, anyways, that's just a thought. So let's get into the day 36. Dedication of the firstborn. Exodus 13:1-16. Then the Lord said to Moses, dedicate to me every firstborn among the Israelites, the first offspring to be born of both human and animals belong to me. Moses said to the people, this is the day to remember forever, the day you left Egypt, the place of your slavery. Today the Lord has brought you out by the power of His mighty hand. Remember, eat no food containing yeast. On this day in early spring, in the month of Abib, you have been set free. You must celebrate this event in this month each year after the Lord brings you into the land of Canaan, of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites. He swore to your ancestors that He would give you this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. For 7 days the bread you eat must be made without yeast. Then, on the seventh day, celebrate a feast to the Lord. Eat bread without yeast during those 7 days. In fact, there must be no yeast bread or any yeast at all found within the borders of your land during this time. On the seventh day, you must explain to your children, I am celebrating what the Lord did for me when I left Egypt. The annual festival will be a visible sign to you, like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. Let it remind you always to recite this teaching of the Lord. With strong hand the Lord rescued you from Egypt. So observe the decree of this festival at the appointed time each year. This is what you must do when the Lord fulfills the promises he swore to you and to your ancestors, when he gives you the land where the Canaanites now live. You must present all the firstborn sons and firstborn male animals to the Lord, for they belong to him. A firstborn donkey may be bought back from the Lord by presenting a lamb or a young goat in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. However, you must buy back every firstborn son. And in the future, your children will ask you, what does all this mean? When you will tell them, with the power of his mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, the place of slavery. Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, so the Lord killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals. That is why I now sacrifice all the firstborn males to the Lord, except the firstborn sons are always bought back. This ceremony will be like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. It is a reminder that the power of the Lord's mighty hand brought us out of Egypt. Israel's wilderness detour. Exodus 13:17 through 14. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through Philistine territory, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said, if the people are faced with battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them into a roundabout way through the wilderness towards the Red Sea. Thus the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready to battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear to do this. He said, God will certainly come to help you. When he does, you must take my bones with you from this place. The Israelites left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went ahead of them. He guided them during the day with a pillar of cloud, and he provided light at night with a pillar of fire. This allowed them to travel by day or by night. And the Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or the pillar of fire from its place in front of the people. Then the Lord gave these instructions to Moses. Order the Israelites to turn back and camp by Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. Camp there along the shore across the Baal-Zephon. Then Pharaoh will think the Israelites are confused. They are trapped in the wilderness. And once again I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after you. I have planned this in order to display my glory through Pharaoh and his whole army. After this, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites camped there as they were told. The Egyptians pursue Israel. Exodus 14:5 through 14. When word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. What have we done, letting all those Israelite slaves get away? They asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called up his troops. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with his commander. The Lord hardened the hearts of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel, who had left with first rays in defiance. Who had left with fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them, but all the forces of Pharaoh's army, all his horses and all chariots and his charioteers and his troops, the Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camping beside the shore of near Pi-hahiroth, across from Baal-Zephon. As Pharaoh approaches the people of Israel, look as people as Pharaoh approaches the people of Israel looked up in panic when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why didn't you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, 'Leave us alone. Let us be slaves in Egypt.' It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness." But Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you. Today, the Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm." That's a practical statement that we can apply to our lives on a daily basis, right? Anyways, escaping through the Red Sea, Exodus 14:15 through 31. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. Divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the heart of Egypt, and they will chase in after the Israelites. My great glory will be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and charioteers. When my glory is displayed through them, all the Egyptians will see my glory and know that I am the Lord." Then the angel of God, who had been leading the people of Israel, moved to the rear of the camp. The pillar of cloud also moved from the front and stood behind him. The cloud settled between the Egyptians and the Israelite camps. As darkness fell, the cloud turned to fire, lighting up the night. But the Egyptians and Israelites did not approach each other all night. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened up a path through the waters with a strong east wind. The wind blew all night, turning the seabed into dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, with the walls of water on each side. Then the Egyptians, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers, chased them into the middle of the sea. But just before dawn, the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud, and he drew their forces into total confusion. He twisted their chariot wheels, making their chariots difficult to drive. "Let's get out of here, away from these Israelites," the Egyptians shouted. "The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." When all the Israelites had reached the other side, the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the sea again." Then the waters will rush back and cover the Egyptians and their chariots and their charioteers. So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the Lord swept them into the sea. Then the waters returned and covered all the chariots. And charioteers. The entire army of Pharaoh, of all the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites into the sea, not a single one survived. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, as the water stood up like a wall on both sides. That is how the Lord rescued Israel from the hand of Egypt. That day, and the Israelites saw the bodies of the Egyptians washed up on the seashore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled with awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. A song of deliverance, Exodus 15:1 through 21. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord. "I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horses and rider into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has given me victory. This is my God, and I will praise him. My father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and armies he has hurled into the sea. The finest of Pharaoh's officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters gushed over them. They sank to the bottom like stones. Your right hand, O Lord, is glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, smashes the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you overthrow those who rise against you. You unleash your blazing fury. It consumes them like straw. At the blast of your breath, the waters piled up. The surging water stood straight like a wall. In the heart of the sea, the deep waters became hard. The enemy boasted, I will chase them, and I catch up with them. I will plunder them and consume them. I will flash my sword. My powerful hand will destroy them, but you blew with your breath, and the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you among the gods? O Lord, glorious in holiness, awesome in splendor, performing great wonders. You raised your right hand, and the earth swallowed our enemies. With your unfailing love, you led the people you have redeemed. You, in your might, you guided them to your sacred home. The people heard and trembled. Anguish grips those who live in Philistine. The leaders of Edom are terrified. The nobles of Moab tremble. All who live in Canaan melt away. Terror and dread fall upon them. The power of your arm makes them lifeless as stones until your people pass by, O Lord, until the people you purchase pass by. You will bring them in and plant them on your own mountain, the place, O Lord, reserved for your own dwelling, the sanctuary, O Lord, that your hands have established. The Lord will regain forever and ever. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers rushed into the sea, the Lord brought the waters crashing down on them. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground. Then Miriam, the prophet, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine and led all the women as they played their tambourines and danced. And Miriam sang this song: Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horses and rider into the sea. Bitter water at Moriah. Exodus 15:22-27. Then Moses led the people of Israel away from the Red Sea, and they moved out into the desert of Shur. They traveled in this desert for 3 days without finding any water. When they came to the oasis Moriah, the water was too bitter to drink. So they called the place Mara, which means bitter. Then the people complained and turned against Moses. What are we going to drink? They demanded. So Moses cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. Moses threw it into the waters, and this made the waters good to drink. It was there in Mara that the Lord set before them the following decree as a standard to test their faithfulness to him. He said, if you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight, obey his commandments and keep all the decrees, then I will not make you suffer any of the diseases I sent on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you. After leaving Mara, the Israelites traveled on the oasis of Elim, where they found 12 springs and 70 palm trees. They camped there besides the water. Man, that is such an amazing story that we just read, as far as the Lord protecting the people, protecting his people. And to me, this right here, this story, it shows a clear depiction of Jesus in the Old Testament. For Jesus said that he is the pillar. He is the pillar that covered them by night and by day. So you almost have, like, you can see the Father and the Son working together to bring his firstborn out of Egypt. So it's so neat how this ties with what the Gospels talk about, that he calls his son out of Egypt. So Anyways, that's today's reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And with that being said, I will see y'all tomorrow.